The Zephyrian delegation had arrived on Earth with all the pomp and circumstance befitting a first contact scenario. Their sleek obsidian ships descended through the atmosphere like falling stars, settling in the designated landing zone outside Geneva with barely a whisper. The beings that emerged were impressive by any standard, towering 8 feet tall, their chitinous exoskeletons gleaming under the afternoon sun, with 4 arms that moved with predatory grace. Ambassador Thex9 clicked his mandibles as he surveyed the assembled human delegation. These soft pink creatures barely reached his chest, their fragile skin exposed to the elements without any natural armor. How had such a species achieved interstellar travel? "We come in the spirit of evaluation," Thex9 announced through his translator device, the mechanical voice carrying an undertone of condescension. "The Galactic Concordance requires all new species to demonstrate their worthiness before inclusion." Secretary General Martinez stepped forward, her small frame dwarfed by the alien ambassador. "We welcome this opportunity. What manner of evaluation did you have in mind?" "Combat trial," Thex9 replied without hesitation. "We have brought our greatest warrior, Vex Prime. He has conquered champions from 47 worlds. If your species can provide worthy opposition, you may join the Concordance as a protectorate world." The human delegation exchanged glances. "Dr. Sarah Chen," the xenobiologist whispered urgently to Martinez. "They're testing us. This is probably standard protocol for them. Might makes right." Martinez nodded and addressed the alien. "We accept your challenge. When and where?" "Tomorrow. Your strongest warrior against ours. To unconsciousness or surrender." That evening, the human delegation convened an emergency session. General Morrison paced the conference room, his weathered face grim. "I can call in any Special Forces operative you want. Navy SEALs, Delta Force, SS." "No," interrupted a gravelly voice from the corner. Coach Mike Sullivan stood up slowly, his 58-year-old frame still carrying the solid build of his heavyweight boxing days. "You need someone who understands fighting as sport, not war. This isn't about killing, it's about proving ourselves. Coach, with all respect, this alien has conquered 47 worlds. And I've trained fighters who've conquered 47 opponents in single nights." Sullivan's eyes held a familiar gleam. "Besides, I know just the guy." The next morning, the designated arena, a hastily constructed platform in the landing zone, was surrounded by cameras and curious onlookers. Vex Prime emerged from the Zephyrian ship like a living nightmare, standing 9 feet tall, his forearms ending in razor-sharp claws, his exoskeleton bearing the scars of countless battles. He moved with the fluid deadliness of an apex predator. The crowd fell silent as he stepped onto the platform, his alien features unreadable but radiating menace. Thex9's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. This would be over quickly. Then the human champion arrived. Tommy the Tank Kowalski jogged up to the platform wearing simple gym shorts and a t-shirt that read, "Sullivan's Boxing Gym." At 5'10" and weighing in at 210 pounds, he looked almost comically small next to the alien warrior. What was most jarring, however, was his expression. Tommy was grinning. "Holy crap, would you look at the size of this guy?" Tommy called out to Coach Sullivan. "Forearms? That's like fighting 2 heavyweights at once. This is going to be awesome." Vex Prime tilted his head, translator catching the human's words. The concept of excitement in the face of overwhelming odds was foreign. "All right, big guy," Tommy said, bouncing on his toes as he approached Vex Prime. "I'm Tommy. Coach says you're some kind of champion." "That's cool, man. I've always wanted to spar with someone from another planet. You ready to dance?" The word spar caused some confusion in the translation matrix, but Vex Prime's response was universal. He attacked. Forearms lashed out simultaneously, claws gleaming. Any normal opponent would have been shredded instantly. Tommy weaved between the strikes like water flowing around stones, his footwork carrying him just out of reach. A claw whisked past his ear, close enough to part his hair. "Whoa, nice reach." Tommy ducked under a backhand that could have decapitated him. "You telegraphed that right cross a bit, though. Here, let me show you." Tommy's left jab snapped out, connecting with Vex Prime's armored chest. The alien barely felt it, but the speed and precision were notable. More strikes followed. Not wild swings, but technical, practiced punches that found gaps in the alien's defense. Vex Prime pressed his attack, all forearms working in deadly coordination. But something strange was happening. Instead of tiring or showing fear, the humans seemed to be adapting, learning. Each exchange lasted a little longer. Each counterattack came a little faster. "Your stance is too square," Tommy called out between combinations, ducking a vicious uppercut. "You're giving me angles. And that footwork, man, you're gonna tire yourself out moving like that." The alien warrior found himself genuinely puzzled. This wasn't how combat worked. Opponents were supposed to cower, to break under his assault, to beg for mercy. They weren't supposed to offer constructive criticism. Tommy slipped inside the alien's guard and landed a solid body shot. "There we go, feel that?" That's what happens when you drop your left two arms like that. You gotta keep them up for protection. Vex Prime staggered back, more from confusion than pain. In 47 conquest fights, no opponent had ever treated him like a training partner. The human wasn't trying to survive, he was trying to improve. Both of them. "Time," Coach Sullivan called from the sidelines. "Water break." Tommy jogged to the corner, barely breathing hard. "This is incredible, Coach. He's got this whole alien fighting style I've never seen. Look at those defensive patterns. It's like capoeira mixed with I don't even know what." Vex Prime stood motionless in the center of the ring, his compound eyes tracking the human's movements. The soft creature should be dead, broken, pleading. Instead, it was enthusiastic. "Round 2, Sullivan called. This time, Tommy came forward more aggressively. "Okay, big guy, I think I've got your timing down. Let's see what you can do when someone fights back properly." What followed was a masterclass in applied violence that had nothing to do with conquest and everything to do with craft. Tommy began to pressure the alien, his combinations forcing Vex Prime to adapt his four-armed style to counter orthodox boxing techniques he'd never encountered. But more than that, Tommy was talking, constantly. "Nice adaptation. See how much better your defense is when you stagger those arms? Oh, that's a beautiful counter. Where'd that come from? Some kind of Zephyrian martial art? You gotta teach me that move." For the first time in his warrior career, Vex Prime found himself enjoying combat, not the conquest, not the domination, but the pure technical challenge of matching skills against an opponent who pushed him to excel. The fight continued for 20 minutes, an eternity by Vex Prime's standards. Usually his battles ended in under 60 seconds, but this human, this impossible creature, kept coming forward with that same eager grin, treating potentially lethal strikes like learning opportunities. Finally, exhaustion took its toll. Both fighters were breathing hard, sweat and alien equivalent making the platform slick. Tommy's left eye was swollen shut, and purple bruises covered his torso where claws had found their mark. Vex Prime's exoskeleton showed cracks, and one of his secondary arms hung limp. "I yield," Vex Prime announced suddenly, his translator crackling with fatigue. The crowd erupted, but Tommy's reaction was immediate and unexpected. He rushed forward with concern. "Whoa, hey, you okay? That arm looks bad. We should get you some ice." "Man, that was incredible. I learned so much." "Can we go again tomorrow?" Vex Prime stared at this small, damaged creature, who had just bested the Concordance's greatest warrior, and whose first thought was their opponent's well-being and improvement for future training sessions. Ambassador Thex 9 approached the platform, his mandibles clicking in a pattern that indicated deep contemplation. "The human has won," he announced. "But I do not understand. Vex Prime has never yielded to anyone. Why now?" Vex Prime looked down at Tommy, who was enthusiastically demonstrating a defensive technique to Coach Sullivan. "Because," the warrior said slowly, "I have never fought someone who made me better at fighting. This human, he saw me not as an enemy to defeat but as a partner to learn with." The alien turned to address the assembled crowd. "I came here to prove human weakness. Instead, I discovered human strength. They do not simply survive combat. They transform it into growth. They turn enemies into teachers, challenges into opportunities." Tommy jogged back over, still grinning despite his injuries. "Hey, Vex. Great fight, man. Coach wants to know if you'd be interested in doing some training sessions. Maybe show us some of that forearm technique. We could set up an exchange program. I bet there's tons we could learn from each other." Thex 9's mandibles clicked again, this time in something approaching amusement. "The Concordance extends full membership to humanity," he announced. "Not as a protectorate, but as equals. Any species that can turn our greatest warrior into a sparring partner deserves a seat at the galactic table." As the alien delegation prepared to depart, Vex Prime approached Tommy one last time. I will return, he said formally, for more sparring.